BG Sports coming at you late at night. I'm staying up late in the laboratory, as Dexter would say. Um, I did work up the game I was telling you guys about, the Texans Titans games, or game, I should say. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm taking this game and the algorithm and everything kind of with a grain of salt here. Now, I'm going to give you a few reasons why, but I do like one play in this game. And if you've been listening to the channel here for a little while, you probably already know what it is. But let's get into it for a second. So, why don't I like the algorithm in this one? Why don't I trust it as much? Well, the Titans have really only had two games since the loss of Derrick Henry. Those games were against the Rams and the Saints. The game against the Rams was impressive. They did have a good showing. That was fine. What really kind of takes me off kilter with that game in particular is there were two interceptions and it put them in, very good field position. And again, you've probably heard this before, but those things are, flips of the coin. It's not something you can count on to happen every single week. And honestly, yeah, Matt Stafford has played bad 2 games in a row. But I truly believe that Rams offense was not prepared for the pressure that the Titans were going to bring up the middle of that offensive line. And the Rams, the entire season, had kind of planned and schemed their game around this quick hitting game and, having some deep shots down there. As far as getting Cooper Kupp open and things like that. But a lot of their game was revolving around, kind of going sideways. Let Darrell Henderson get out in the open, let Cooper Kupp or Robert Woods, when he was healthy, kind of, get some balls and some slants and then do what they do. When you force them to play even faster than they are trying to, and when you're not giving Stafford a clean pocket, he becomes somewhat erratic. He becomes kind of problematic for the offense because, and it's not necessarily his fault, but he is trying to make a play. He's trying to stay in that pocket. He's a tough dude. He's going to take the hit. But in the game where, again, they're not really adjusting and they're kind of just trying to continue to execute their game plan, the Titans looked really, really good. But I, in my heart, believe that was more a lack of adjustments by Sean McVay than it was execution from the Titans. Also, again, keep in mind the Titans have won that game by 12 points. 14 of those points came from those two kind of fluky things. So we can't take the win away from them. They earned it. They got it. But as far as the numbers are concerned, I'm not taking all of those stats and all the numbers just at face value and saying, yep, they're great. Secondly, the team they played afterwards, which was the Saints, a couple of things happened in that game. So one, they recovered a kickoff fumble, and they had great field position. Also, there was another kind of a fluky flag that came in and essentially gave them a touchdown, where Ryan Tannehill gets tackled or kind of pushed, really, and the defense, and I apologize, I don't remember his name, but whoever was the defender kind of tapped his helmet, and they counted that as helmet to helmet, and it was a really weak call, but it went from being 4th and goal on the 20 or whatever to 1st and goal, and they were on the 5, and so it just basically, again, it gave them a touchdown. And so with those two things together, they barely squeak out a win by 2 points. It didn't cover against the Saints team, who, again, does not have Jameis Winston, didn't have Alvin Kamara, really had a lot of pieces missing, and Sean Payton was having to go deep in his bag of tricks to even get an offense that was going to produce anything. But the Titans could barely pull out that win. So, again, yes, they got the win. We're not taking that away from them, but I'm just trying to emphasize, while the numbers here look really good as far as DVOA and things, those are just the numbers. Again, at this time of year, you really have to go back and watch the games and see, okay, what added up to this? How did we get here? Because some of these numbers are a little flukier than others, and we want to be ahead of that trend. We want to be ahead of where this is going to drop off. Now, I will say the Titans have, I think, the absolute easiest schedule from here on out. So I totally believe and trust that they are going to make the playoffs. But whether they make it as the number 1 seed or not, I don't think they're going to have a very deep playoff run. I think they are going to come to a very rude awakening when they play teams who are adjusting, who are playing for their lives, who are not going to just throw in the towel at halftime because, well, we'll play next week, we'll just get everybody healthy. That all being said, though, this particular game, the Texans and Titans, the algorithm has the Titans as like almost 13-point favorites. The current line is about 10 to 11, depending on where you're at. And actually, I can just pull it up for you right now. So this is on my bookie. They have the Titans as 10-point favorites. Now, I don't really love that line. Again, because I'm not taking the numbers to heart, like as gospel, I don't like that they're just within a field goal, really, of where my numbers are coming out. So I'm not really too keen on laying the full number. Even if I thought the numbers were a little bit more reliable, I would still be a little concerned, mainly because anytime you're playing the Texans, and again, kind of like what we saw with the Jaguars and the Colts last week, anytime you're playing a lesser opponent and you're winning and the game seems like it's in hand, if that is the way it goes, and that's the way that my algorithm is, that's what it's projecting, there's a very good chance the Titans say, we're taking everybody off the field. We're going to look forward to the following week, and I believe they have a bigger game, a somewhat bigger game next week. But if that happens, the Texans can come back and make an easy cover with fluky touchdowns or field goals or whatever, where the Titans just are not carrying anymore. So there's a lot of pathways for the Texans to cover the full number. What I do prefer here is actually two things. One, the Titans' first half. The Texans have not scored more than 6 points in any half throughout their last 4 games. And I believe it was like 5 points, 6 points. There's one where they had a field goal, and then there's one where they got shut out. They have not had great first halves. And I've said this before, and actually I really kind of hammered this home when they played the Rams a few weeks ago. The Texans seem to not give a damn about the game or kind of the status where they're at until it is the second half. They're not going to pull out their tricks. They're not going to try and be aggressive. They're not going to do anything to really push the envelope until they absolutely have to. I mean, this is a coaching staff that thinks, hey, look, we're only down 21 points. We can still run the ball. We can still get in it. That is going to be problematic for the Texans, but in all honesty, I think they're probably trying to lose from here on out. They're trying to get better for next year. Again, the coach is never going to tell you that. Players are never going to tell you that. But the GMs in the front office are showing us that with the moves they're making. But that being said, the Texans, again, just refuse to put out real effort until the second half, which is, again, very evident by going back and checking those scores they put up. Now, again, those were without Tyrod Taylor, except for the last game. But even at that, I believe they still just put up 6 points. Now, the Titans, on the other hand, they've had some really good showings. Last week, they put 13 points up against the Saints, and then they put up 21 the week before that against the Rams in the first half. Now, again, going back to the Rams, 2 of those touchdowns in that first half did come, again, kind of as flukes. Again, if you're asking me, now can that be replicated? Yeah, it can, especially against the Texans. It's very possible, touchdown off a field goal, off a interception, off a fumble, off of whatever. Now, am I counting on it? No, not really. Other thing, though, was in that Saints game, again, that flag that I was talking about did come in the first half. So, again, keep that in mind as we're making this play. The reason I still like the Titans minus the 6 with all of that in mind is because the Texans are such a low-scoring team, and as far as the first half is concerned, and the Titans have really just a good matchup. Even without Derrick Henry, the Texans have just not been able to do a whole lot. They have a 40 EDSR, and they have about a grade of 10 on my algorithm. But also as far as the defensive DVOA and things like that, the Texans are 17th, and it's really not a whole lot to write home about. I do believe the Titans are going to be able to find enough to work with, even without Julio Jones, even without Derrick Henry. I think really all they'll need is like 10 points to cover this. I don't see the Texans getting more than a field goal in that first half, and because of that, I believe the Titans can put up 10 points consistently. I think they have come out of, for most games, with a really good script as far as the first few plays, the first few drives, and then been able to execute and do really well. So again, I'm not expecting a big, huge output from them, but I am expecting at least 10 points in that first half. And realistically, even if they put up just a touchdown, there is a very good chance that they just shut out the Texans for that first half, and they still cover the 6 with that first play, or with that first touchdown. Now, there was another play in this game that I really like. The line has not come out just yet, but I am looking at the Texans together under for the first quarter. Going back to exactly what I was just saying, I don't expect a whole lot of points for either of these teams, especially in the first half. I do think the Titans might put up like 10. They may put up 14. The Texans, again, I really would be shocked if they do anything more than 6 or 7 points. I mean, that would be a huge anomaly for them. Even with Tyrod Taylor, I don't think that their game plan and their coaching is going to be conducive to putting up anything more than 6 or 7 points at the very, very most. So I am going to take the under in that first quarter. As of right now, I'm expecting that to be about 10. For the first half, it is at 22.5. Now, you might be asking, why are you just not taking the first half under, or even the full game under? Well, as far as the first half is concerned, like I said, the Titans, I'm expecting 10 points from the Titans. If the Texans were to get a field goal, at that point, you are really just banking and hoping that nothing fluky happens. And like I said, the Titans have had a knack for getting these just weird kind of anomalous calls or plays or whatever in that first half. And if that were to happen, you're going to hit the over. So that 22.5 is just it's a little too short, with just a little too much variance for me, that I don't want to get involved in the 22.5. I don't think it's a bad play, but for me, I think you're better off just taking the first quarter. I do believe that both of these teams are going to try to run. I believe that they're probably both going to have some success as far as moving the ball with some very long drives. I could easily see either of these teams taking like a half of the quarter just on a drive, just on, even if it doesn't come away with any points, or if it comes away with like a field goal attempt. I could easily see these teams getting 2, possibly 3 at the most as far as possessions in that first half. In the first quarter. And if that's the case, the under is going to be a smash play. But like I said, the line is not out just yet, so I do expect it to be at about 10. Hopefully they'll give us 10.5. But that first quarter under is really what I want to touch. The first quarter for the Titans, you may want to look at taking the Titans -3. Again, assuming it does come out at the -3. But like I said, since we're not expecting a lot of points there, if the Texans happen to get their field goal in that first quarter, or if the Titans happen to just not get anything because the drives are so slow in that first quarter, you're really putting yourself in a bind, and you may end up losing that one just because the game gets too slow. And I hate these instances where you'll see the teams driving, but you are racing the clock because you're trying to get that score before the end of the first quarter, and they couldn't really give a shit. Like, they couldn't care less. So they're not going to score until the second quarter. They want to take that time out, move the field, and then just kick the field goal or whatever. So again, I'm not really going to get involved with that, but I do like that first quarter under, and the Titans -6 for the first half. Now, I did have time to break down one more game, and actually this is a game that I had a couple of you guys asking me about in the comments for the last video, and it was, this Patriots Falcons game. So the current line right now is Patriots -6.5. In the comments, I had mentioned I was looking to tease this game, and I really did want to tease it, and I actually still do want to tease it. I'm just looking for a second leg. At first, I had thought maybe the Saints game, and I do think that's still a play, taking the Saints up to 8, and then again, obviously moving the Patriots down to just a half point. Seems like a really good play, but after I really broke down this game, I don't think you're gonna need that tease, and I hate using teases when after the game is over, you're like, damn it, I didn't even need that. You just put out extra money, essentially just for the hell of it. You felt like risking extra money. So I am looking to take this game, Patriots -6.5, straight up for the Thursday night game. This year has been a little weird for these Thursday night games. The home teams have done okay. traditionally, teams that are going to end the season over 500 win these games about 87% of the time. So I do believe the Patriots are going to win the game. I don't think there's a whole lot of people that are going to disagree with that. But as far as covering the 6.5, that does seem like a big spread, especially for a Patriots team that we did not really think of as like a juggernaut just a month or two ago. Now, I've been covering this team the whole season. If you've been watching these videos, you've heard me talk about them the whole season, and the natural progression has been amazing. You saw Mac Jones go from a real raw rookie, making some rookie mistakes, and really trying to be protected by his coaching staff for the most part, kind of keeping him from making mistakes and hurting himself. And as he's grown, as he's developed, as he's been more comfortable, they are now putting more and more on his plate. He had a great showing this last game. He was so good, and as a matter of fact, they ended up taking him out, I believe, for like almost the full fourth quarter, because they were just annihilating the Browns. Both of these teams, are going to be playing on short rest because it is a Thursday night game. The Patriots had the luxury of playing at home, and they also got to take out most of their starters pretty early in the game because they were just up by so much. The Falcons did also take out some of their players, but they did suffer some injuries like to Cordell Patterson. I think he is still going to play, but even if he does, that team has just been so depleted of talent this year. Calvin Ridley has still not really seen the field very much, if at all, this year. I think he played like 4 games, something like that. Kyle Pitts is still a rookie, and without Calvin Ridley in there, teams are really just focusing on covering Kyle Pitts. Cordell Patterson, again, is effective when he's out there, but he's really the only guy out there. He's having to fill in for Mike Davis as well as for Calvin Ridley and take some of the heat off of Kyle Pitts. He's doing a lot, and if he does not play this week, that is just really, really bad for the Falcons. I can't even explain how much their offense revolves around the Falcon, or around Cordell Patterson. If you have not watched the Falcons play this year, you're really not missing a whole lot. Matt Ryan is doing what he's doing. He's trying to make something out of nothing, and it's just not working for the most part. If you look at the strength of schedule and DVOA and all that kind of stuff, the strength of schedule actually favors the Falcons. The Falcons have had a somewhat harder strength of schedule so far. They've had about 10 spots harder as far as just overall strength of schedule, and about 7 spots more difficulty as far as offensive strength of schedule, meaning they've played the tougher offenses. That's basically where the advantages end for the Falcons. The defensive DVOA, very much in favor of the Patriots. They are ranked number 5. The Falcons are ranked number 31. And even if you break it down from there to rushing and passing DVOA, because sometimes, and again, if you are looking at DVOA, just kind of a tip out there, don't just look at overall DVOA. Go in and break it down to how good are they at the run, how good are they at the pass, whether it's offense, defense, whatever, because sometimes you will have teams that are really, really excellent at stopping the pass. I wanted to say off the top of my head, the Chargers are better at stopping the pass, and they are god-awful at stopping the run. The Colts are the opposite. They're great at stopping the run. They can't stop the pass worth a shit. So the Patriots are one of these rare teams that are pretty damn good at both. They're ranked number 13 at stopping the run, at 5 at stopping the pass. Now the Falcons are currently passing at about a 52% rate. So it's not too crazy. They are a pretty balanced team, but I do think the Patriots are going to be able to shut that down. And if that's the case, they're going to be in for a long day. And I don't think the Falcons really have a whole lot of answers. And I'm sorry, I take that back. The Falcons are actually passing at a 62% rate right now. Now, some of that is because of last week when they were getting blown out by the Cowboys. But even if you take that away, they're still well above 50% pass rate. And I just think they're not going to have a lot of success there, especially with all these pieces missing and the Patriots being able to focus on Kyle Pitts. The Patriots have the big, tough, strong linebackers. Patriots are just a more physical, bigger, stronger team. They're better coached. They have all the advantages all over the field. I don't know what, if anything, Arthur Smith can do to try and negate some of these advantages. The algorithm, and I should say really Madden, has Matt Ryan as a better quarterback than Mac Jones, and I guess that's somewhat to be expected. Mac Jones is still a rookie, but at least at this point of their careers, I gotta say I'd probably take Mac Jones over Matt Ryan if I had to have him in my franchise right now. Not just because of age, but because Mac Jones seems to be playing a smarter brand of football than Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan seems more of just like hey, I'm gonna try to make something happen, and I get it. He's trying to do something, but it's just not working out for him. Defensively, again, just huge advantage. I mean, this is a night and day between the Patriots and the Falcons. The Falcons are the 30th ranked pass defense. Now, you might think New England is a predominantly running defense. Offense, and that is true. They do like to run out the game, but they actually only run about 45% of the time. So the other 55% of the time they are passing. And if you're going to give Mac Jones easy passes and just kind of let him play it smart and nickel and dime you down the field, he'll do it. And that's what the coaches are going to ask of him. And then when they do get you to back up a little bit and try to defend that pass, they're going to smash you in the mouth with these, not just these heavy, strong running backs, but just an offensive line that is really underrated. If you have not watched the Patriots play, you might not be too interested because it is a lot of running, it is a lot of smash mouth football. But if you are into that, if you are okay with watching defensive games and with watching a lot of running, like the 6 yards in a cloud of dust kind of thing, watch the Patriots. It's very hard to stop them. They can kind of do a little bit of everything, and for not having any star players on this team as far as like big household names, it's not just surprising. It's not too surprising because Bill Belichick is there, but it's almost confusing because if you're thinking as a defensive coordinator, you really don't know what to stop. Do you try to rush and do you try to blitz Mac Jones and maybe get him off a little bit? Try to take advantage of this rookie. But if you do, just know you're gonna give up the short underneath stuff. You're gonna give up, the sweeps, the left, the right, whatever, and that makes it a lot harder to guard. Now, all of this being said, again, I don't see a way the Falcons win this game. I do not. I don't care where they play this game. The Patriots just are the better team. They have every single advantage on the board. They have the bigger, stronger guys, and I think the Falcons are going to get pushed around. I think this is going to be one of those games where the Patriots come out, they dominate, they control the clock, they do everything from the very first kickoff and just punch the Falcons in the mouth, keep them down, take their lunch, eat it, say thank you, and get the hell out. I'm taking the Patriots minus 6.5. I really love it. If you don't agree with that, please tell me why, because I've been trying, and I usually do this, I usually try to kind of tell myself a narrative or some way, some sort of like range of outcomes where whatever I'm wagering on is wrong. Kind of how can this go wrong? What was going on? What do we need to avoid here? And in this particular game, I don't see one. I can't even create one. That's how kind of maybe blinded I am right now. But if you see a way that the Falcons beat this Patriots team, please let me know. And if you want to be crazy with it, be crazy with it. Like the Homer when like Dredrick Tatum has a heart defect before he walks into the ring. Like if it's something like that, cool. Like I could kind of take that, because other than that, I don't know how else they win. That all being said, guys, that's going to be it for today. I'm going to try to put out another video, but as you can tell, these are the schedule for this week has been a little weird, but I am going to put out as much as I can. And if nothing else, please follow me on Twitter. It is at AG_sports21. If I do have any other picks or plays, I will be putting them on there. I will tell you right now, the one other thing I am looking at right now, I was breaking down the Packers-Vikings game, and unfortunately really can't make a play on the game itself just because the teams have so many advantages for each other. It's a divisional game. They both know how to play each other. The Packers have traditionally done pretty well, at least the last couple of years, against the Vikings, but the Packers this year are having the same issue that the Chargers are having, and nobody is talking about it. The Packers cannot stop the run. They have given up a 58% success rate against the run. The Vikings are not just, they're not a 99% running team. They are going to pass the ball. But when they run with Dalvin Cook, it's going to be effective. Now, the Vikings, on the other hand, are also not great at stopping the run. They give up a 57% success rate against the run. Those are both huge. There's very few teams that give up that sort of success on the ground. And both these teams should take advantage of that. Now, I will say the Packers, again, they don't have Aaron Jones, so it's going to be a little bit harder with A.J. Dillon, but he is a very competent running back. The play I am looking at, and again, these lines are not out yet, but I would be looking to play a Dalvin Cook rushing prop, taking the over on a Dalvin Cook rushing prop. It's not out yet. I don't know when it's going to be out. It's going to change a little bit per book. I know my book usually puts those props out like Friday night, Saturday morning, so be on the lookout, because I can almost guarantee you that it's whatever it comes out at, it's going to raise sharply and quickly, and by the time Sunday comes, you're probably looking at like a 10 to 15 yard difference on the over rushing prop, just because it is such a good matchup for the Vikings and for Dalvin Cook specifically. So again, that's something I'm looking at. Follow me at Twitter, and I will let you know as soon as those props come out and what the line is and what I'm taking it and when I'm taking it. Thank you again, guys. I really appreciate the support and the time that you guys are putting in just to watch this. Lastly, I just want to thank you for being so flexible. I know, again, the videos have come out a little bit erratically this last week. I am trying to get it more on a schedule, but I do appreciate you guys tuning in. So thank you again, and have a great day.